My girlfriend let her best friend sabotage our relationship, so I exposed the affair, took the DNA test, and left her to face the fallout alone. Alright, so here is the deal. I am a 28-year-old guy. I have been dating this amazing girl, Sarah, who is 26. We have been together for just over a year now, and for the most part, things are great. I am really into her. She is smart, funny, all that good stuff. But there is this one thing that has been a constant thorn in my side, her best friend, Jake. Now, do not get me wrong. I am not the jealous type, at least I try not to be. I have always believed in giving people their space, trusting them, and all that. But with Jake, man, it has been tough. Jake is 27, and he has been Sarah's ride or die since college. I knew they were close from the get-go, and at first, I did not think much of it. Everyone has got a best friend, right? No big deal. But as time went on, I started noticing stuff. They are not just close, they are really close. And I mean the kind of close where it starts to feel like I am tagging along in their relationship instead of being in one with Sarah. You ever feel like the third wheel? That is me all the time. Let me paint you a picture. It is a random Tuesday night, and Sarah and I have plans to chill. I am thinking we will watch a movie, maybe order some food, just relax together. But nope, Jake calls, and suddenly she is all excited about going out for dinner with him. And just like that, my plans are gone. Not even a hey, wanna come with us? It is like I do not exist, and the thing is, this is not a one-time thing. It happens a lot. They have these regular hangouts, dinners, movie nights, late-night drives, the kind of stuff couples usually do. And every time I bring it up, she just says, oh, it is just Jake. You know how we are. Like, yeah, I do know, and that is kind of the problem. There is this one night I remember really well. We were supposed to have this chill evening, just the two of us. But guess what? Jake pops up again. He had a bad day, so Sarah feels the need to rush over and comfort him. And I am sitting there like, what about us? But of course, Jake takes priority, and the worst part, when I do get to tag along, it is awkward as hell. Like, they have got their own little world with inside jokes and shared memories, and I am just there trying to keep up. You know that feeling when everyone is laughing at something, but you have no clue what is so funny? Yeah, that is me every time I am with them. It is like they speak their own language, and I am stuck trying to translate. At first, I tried to be cool about it. I told myself they have been friends for years, it is not a big deal, you are being paranoid. But then I started noticing little things that did not sit right with me. Like how Jake texts her all the time. I am talking morning, noon, night, even when we are together. Her phone is buzzing with messages from him. And it is not just casual stuff either. He calls her babe and sweetheart. Who does that? One time, we were out on a date, and her phone kept lighting up with texts from Jake. I asked her about it, and she just laughed, saying, that is just how we talk. It does not mean anything. But it felt off. I mean, I am her boyfriend. Should not those pet names be reserved for me? Then there are the late-night FaceTime sessions. I remember waking up in the middle of the night to find her whispering and giggling on the phone with him. I asked her about it the next morning, and she said Jake was going through something and needed to talk. Okay, I get that. But why does he always need her? Why can he not talk to one of his other friends or, I do not know, deal with his stuff like a grown man? I know some of you might be thinking, dude, just chill, they are just friends. And trust me, I have tried. But it is hard when you feel like you are constantly playing second fiddle to someone else. I mean, is not a relationship supposed to be about two people, not three? What really gets to me is how much I have bent over backward to be understanding. I have swallowed my pride, pushed down my insecurities, and tried to be the bigger person. But there is only so much a guy can take before he starts feeling like he is just a background character in someone else's life. It is not like I am asking for much. I am not saying she has to cut Jake out of her life completely. I get it, they have got history. But would it kill her to set some boundaries? Like maybe not prioritizing him over me all the time. Maybe not using pet names that make it seem like they are more than just friends. Is that really too much to ask? Honestly, I am at my wit's end. I love Sarah, but this whole Jake situation has me questioning everything. I feel like I am constantly walking on eggshells, trying not to come off as the jealous, controlling boyfriend. But at what point do my feelings matter? At what point do I get to say, hey, this is not working for me? Another time, we were out on a date. We just sat down at this nice little restaurant, and things were going great. But then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and I could see her face light up. It was Jake, of course. She spent the next 10 minutes texting back and forth with him while I just sat there picking at my food. I finally asked her if she could put her phone away, And she looked at me like I was asking for the world. "It is just Jake," she said. "It is not a big deal." Not a big deal? It felt like I was sitting there alone while she was on a date with her phone. I started to feel like I was playing second fiddle to this guy, and it really started to mess with my head. Every time her phone buzzed, I would get this sinking feeling in my gut, wondering if it was Jake again. Then there was the time we were planning a weekend getaway. We had been talking about it for weeks, and I was really looking forward to it. It felt like a chance for us to just be together, away from all the distractions. But of course, Jake had to pop up again. He found out about this concert happening the same weekend and asked Sarah to go with him. And you know what she did? She asked me if we could reschedule our trip so she could go to the concert with Jake. I could not believe it. I mean, here we were planning this romantic weekend, and she was willing to push it aside for a concert with Jake. When I asked her why she could not just skip the concert, she got defensive. "It is a band we both love," she said. "I could not miss this with him." I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Our relationship was supposed to be important, but it seemed like I was always getting the short end of the stick when it came to Jake. And it was not just the texting and the FaceTime calls. It was the way she would light up whenever he was around, the inside jokes, the way she would drop everything for him. I started noticing how much she would change when Jake was in the picture. She would be happier, more energetic, like he brought out a side of her that I could not reach. It made me feel like I was failing as a boyfriend, like I was not enough for her. But the thing that really got to me was how dismissive she was about my feelings. Every time I tried to bring up how uncomfortable I was with her relationship with Jake, she would brush it off. "You are being ridiculous," she would say. "Jake is just my friend. You do not have to worry about him." But how could I not worry when it felt like he was constantly in the middle of our relationship? It was not just about the pet names or the texts or the late night calls. It was about the fact that I felt like I was competing for her attention, and no matter what I did, I always came in second place. I started to wonder if I was crazy for feeling this way, if I was just being insecure or jealous. But deep down, I knew something was not right. I was not asking her to cut Jake out of her life completely. I just wanted her to see how much it hurt me to always be pushed aside for him. But no matter how many times I tried to talk to her about it, she would just dismiss my concerns and tell me I was overthinking it. It was like my feelings did not matter, like I was just supposed to suck it up and deal with it. And that is when I started to realize that maybe this was not just about Jake. Maybe it was about something deeper. Maybe it was about the fact that Sarah did not seem to care how her actions were affecting me. And that hurt more than anything Jake could ever do. Alright, so I've been trying to keep things together with Sarah despite all the stuff with Jake. I have been telling myself that I just need to be patient, that eventually she will see how much all this is affecting me. But let me tell you, that patience finally ran out one weekend, and it was not pretty. So here is the setup. Sarah and I had been planning this anniversary trip for months. We were both super excited about it, or at least I thought we were. We had everything mapped out, a cozy little cabin, some hiking, just the two of us getting away from all the noise. It was supposed to be our time, you know? A break from all the everyday crap and hopefully from Jake too. But a few days before we are supposed to leave, Sarah drops a bomb on me. She is all like, "Hey, so Jake just found out about this concert happening that same weekend. It is this band we have both loved forever, and he really wants me to go with him." I am sitting there kind of stunned, waiting for her to say, "But of course I told him no because we have our trip." But nope. Instead, she goes, "Do you think we could reschedule our trip so I can go?" Reschedule? I could not believe what I was hearing. This was our anniversary, something we had been planning for months, and now she wants to just push it aside for a last-minute concert with Jake. I tried to keep calm, but I could feel the anger bubbling up. I asked her, "Why cannot Jake just go by himself or with someone else? Why does it have to be you?" She gave me that look like I was being unreasonable. "You do not get it," she said. "This band means a lot to us. It is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I cannot miss it." And there it was, the moment I realized where I really stood in this relationship. It was like no matter what, Jake was always going to come first. I told her straight up, "Sarah, this is not okay. You are asking me to step aside for Jake again. It feels like I am constantly competing with him for your time and attention, and I am tired of it." But she just brushed it off, saying I was overreacting and that it was not a big deal. "You knew Jake was part of my life when we started dating," she said. "Why are you trying to change me now?" That hit me hard. I was not trying to change her. I just wanted to feel like I was a priority too, like our relationship actually mattered. But in that moment, it felt like I was asking for too much. She was so defensive, like she could not even see where I was coming from. Then she said something that really got under my skin. "Jake thinks you are being controlling and insecure," she told me. Oh, great. Now Jake is weighing in on our relationship? Like, Why does his opinion even matter here? This was supposed to be about us, not him. I told her I needed some boundaries, no more pet names with Jake, no more constant one-on-one hangouts, and definitely no more prioritizing him over our relationship. But she blew up at me. She called me controlling, said I was being toxic. It was like she could not even hear me. All I was asking for was some basic respect, but to her, I was the bad guy. We fought for what felt like hours. I kept trying to explain how I felt, how much it hurt to always be the second choice. But she just kept doubling down, insisting that I was the one with the problem. She even said, "If you cannot handle Jake being in my life, maybe this is not going to work." That was the moment I knew we had hit a breaking point. I could not keep pretending that everything was fine. I could not keep ignoring how much this was hurting me. I loved Sarah, but I could not keep sacrificing my own happiness just to keep the peace. It was not fair to me. After that fight, she started giving me the silent treatment. I was left alone with my thoughts, replaying everything over and over in my head. I kept asking myself if I was really the one in the wrong, if maybe I was being too sensitive or controlling. But deep down, I knew that was not it. I was not asking for anything crazy. I just wanted to be treated like I mattered. I started thinking about all the times I had put her first, all the times I had made sacrifices for our relationship. And what did I get in return? More time for Jake, less time for me. It felt like I was fighting a losing battle, and no matter how hard I tried, I was never going to win. That weekend was supposed to be a celebration of us, a chance to reconnect and strengthen our relationship. But instead, it turned into another reminder of how far down the priority list I was. I realized that I could not keep living like this. Something had to change, or I was going to lose myself completely, and that is when I decided to give her the ultimatum. I did not want to, but I felt like I had no choice. It was either she set some boundaries with Jake, or we were done. I did not know how she was going to react, but I knew I could not keep going like this. I needed to know if she was willing to fight for us or if I was just wasting my time. In that moment, I felt a weird mix of emotions, sadness, anger, frustration, but also a strange sense of relief. I had finally spoken my truth, laid everything out on the table. Now it was up to her to decide what she wanted. And honestly, I was not sure if I was ready to hear the answer. Alright, so after the fight about the concert, I knew something had to give. I was done being the guy who gets pushed aside every time Jake decided he needed Sarah's attention. I loved her, sure, but I could not keep feeling like a distant second in my own relationship. It was draining me, and I could not take it anymore. That is when I knew I had to draw a line. Now, I did not go into this thinking, "Hey, I'm going to drop an ultimatum and fix everything." Honestly, I did not even like the idea of it. I have always thought ultimatums were a last resort, something people do when they are desperate. But at this point, I was desperate. I needed her to understand how much this was messing with me. So one evening, I sat her down. No distractions, no phones buzzing with texts from Jake, just us. I tried to stay calm, but I was nervous as hell. I did not know how she was going to take it, but I could not back down now. I told her straight up, "Sarah, we need to talk about Jake." She sighed, clearly annoyed. "We already talked about this," she said, brushing me off like it was no big deal. But it was a big deal to me, at least. "I know we have talked," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "but nothing has changed, and I cannot keep doing this. I feel like I am constantly fighting for your attention, and Jake always wins." She rolled her eyes, which, let me tell you, did not help. "You are being ridiculous," she said. "Jake is my best friend. He has always been there for me. You knew that when we started dating." "I did," I admitted, "but I did not know it would feel like this, like I am just a placeholder in your life while Jake gets all the important parts." That seemed to get her attention, at least a little. She frowned, but she did not interrupt this time, so I kept going. "I am not asking you to stop being friends with him," I said. "I get that you two are close. But there need to be boundaries. I am your boyfriend, Sarah. I should be the one you turn to first, not him." She crossed her arms, clearly on the defensive. "What kind of boundaries?" she asked, almost challenging me. "No more pet names," I said, ticking off my points. "No more constant one-on-one hangouts, and definitely no more prioritizing him over me. If we are together, I need to feel like I matter, like I am not just some guy you are killing time with until Jake is free." Her face was hard to read, but I could tell she was not happy. "So what if I do not do this? We are done?" she asked, her tone sharp. I hesitated, but only for a second. "Yeah," I said, feeling a lump in my throat. "If you cannot do this, then maybe we should not be together." Silence. She just stared at me, and for a moment, I thought she might actually take it seriously. But then she shook her head and laughed bitterly. "You are giving me an ultimatum? She said, incredulous. That is not fair. I know it is not ideal, I admitted, but I do not know what else to do. I have tried talking to you about this, and nothing has changed. I am not trying to control you, Sarah. I just want to feel like I am your partner, not some extra in your life. She did not say anything for a while, and the silence was brutal. I could feel the weight of everything hanging in the air, and it was suffocating. Finally, she spoke. You are asking me to change who I am, she said quietly. No, I said, shaking my head. I am asking you to see how this is affecting me. I am asking you to meet me halfway. She looked down at her hands, and for a moment, I thought she might actually consider it. But then she sighed and said, Jake thinks you are being controlling. That hit me like a slap in the face. Jake thinks? Seriously, why does his opinion matter so much? This is not about him, it is about us. She did not have an answer for that, and the silence stretched on again. I could feel the anger and frustration bubbling up inside me, but I forced myself to stay calm. Losing it would not help. I do not want to be the bad guy here, I said softly. I just want to be with you without feeling like I am competing for your attention. Sarah looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw something shift in her eyes. Maybe it was guilt, maybe it was realization, I do not know. But she did not say anything more. She just nodded slowly, like she was processing everything. I need to think about this, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Take all the time you need, I replied, standing up. But know that I am serious, Sarah. I cannot keep going like this. With that, I walked out, leaving her sitting there in the quiet. I did not know what was going to happen next, but I knew I had done everything I could. Now it was up to her, and whatever she decided, I had to be ready for it. I was not really sure what to expect after dropping that ultimatum on Sarah. Part of me thought she would just walk away, maybe even run straight to Jake. I had prepared myself for the worst. But what happened next, honestly, I did not see it coming. It was Saturday night, a couple of days after our big fight. I was sitting at home, mentally gearing up for whatever was about to go down. I was not expecting her to show up at my door, but there she was, looking nervous and clutching her phone like it was some kind of lifeline. Can we talk? She asked, her voice softer than usual. I stepped aside to let her in, my heart pounding in my chest. I did not know if this was going to be another fight or what, but I knew we could not just leave things hanging the way they were. She sat down on the couch, fidgeting with her hands. I have been thinking a lot about what you said, she started, not quite meeting my eyes, about Jake, about us. I stayed quiet, waiting for her to continue. I did not want to push her, but I was not about to let her off the hook either. She had to face this head on. I canceled the concert, she said finally, looking up at me. I told Jake I could not go. That threw me off. I did not expect her to actually cancel. Why? I asked, trying not to sound too hopeful. She took a deep breath. Because I realized you were right. I have been putting Jake before you, and that is not fair. I did not see it before, but now I get it. I could see she was struggling with the words, like admitting this was physically painful, but she kept going. I have been selfish, she admitted. I have been so caught up in my friendship with Jake that I did not stop to think about how it was affecting you. And I am sorry. Hearing her say that was like a weight lifting off my chest. But at the same time, I could not help but wonder if it was too little, too late. Why now? I asked. Why did it take an ultimatum for you to see this? She hesitated, then said, because I was scared. I did not want to lose you, but I also did not want to lose Jake. I thought I could have both without any problems, but I was wrong. Her honesty hit me hard. I could see she was being sincere, and that was not easy for her. But I was not about to just sweep everything under the rug because of a few heartfelt words. I appreciate the apology, I said slowly, but this is not just about the concert. It is about everything, the texts, the pet names, the late night calls. It has been building up for a long time, Sarah. She nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. I know, she whispered, and I do not want to keep hurting you. I want to fix this. I want to be better. It was a lot to take in. I could see she was genuinely trying, but trust is not something you can rebuild overnight. It is going to take more than just words, I told her. I need to see changes. I need to feel like I'm a priority in your life. I understand, she said, wiping away a tear. And I am ready to show you. I want to spend this weekend together, just us, no distractions, no Jake. I want to make things right. I was not sure what to say. Part of me was still guarded, not wanting to get my hopes up. But another part of me wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, we could turn this around. All right, I said finally. Let us see how it goes. She gave me a small, tentative smile, like she was not sure if I was being serious. But I was. I wanted to give her a chance to prove herself, even if I was not sure if it would be enough. We spent the rest of the evening just talking. No big plans, no distractions, just the two of us trying to reconnect. It was awkward at first, but as the night went on, it started to feel better, like maybe we were finding our way back to each other. She opened up about her friendship with Jake, telling me things I did not know before, how he had been there for her during some tough times, how their bond had formed over shared struggles. It helped me understand why she valued him so much, even if it did not completely excuse her actions. And I shared my side too, how it felt to be sidelined, to always come second to someone else. I told her how much it hurt to feel like I was not enough, like I was just an afterthought in her life. By the time we went to bed, I felt emotionally drained but also lighter. It was not like everything was magically fixed, but it was a start. We were finally having the conversations we should have had a long time ago. The next morning, she made us breakfast, and we spent the day just being together. No Jake, no interruptions, just us. It felt good. But I knew it was going to take more than one good weekend to fix what was broken. Still, for the first time in a long time, I felt like there was hope, like maybe we could get through this if we both put in the effort, but I also knew I had to be cautious. I could not let myself get swept up in the moment and forget all the hurt that had brought us here. As the day went on, I found myself wondering what the future would look like. Could we really move past this? Would she be able to set the boundaries I needed, or was this just a temporary fix for a bigger problem? I did not have all the answers, but for now, I was willing to take things one step at a time. We still had a long way to go, but at least we were finally on the same page. And that, for me, was a step in the right direction. After our intense conversation, Sarah and I decided to spend the weekend together, focusing on us and trying to rebuild what had been falling apart. I was still on edge, unsure if anything could truly mend the damage, but I was willing to try. Friday night started off simple enough: dinner, a movie, and an effort to just be present with each other. We were cooking in my kitchen, some pasta dish that did not require too much effort. It felt nice, almost like we were back in the early days when things were easy and light. We were laughing, making small talk about random stuff, and for a moment, it felt like we were on the right track. But then, halfway through the meal, Sarah put her fork down and gave me this look, the kind of look that tells you something big is coming. "I need to tell you something," she said, her voice quieter than usual. My heart skipped a beat. I braced myself, thinking she was about to drop another bomb about Jake or maybe something else entirely. The air felt heavy as I waited for her to continue. "I am pregnant," she finally said, barely above a whisper. I froze, my mind scrambling to catch up. "Pregnant?" She nodded, her eyes already welling up with tears. "I just found out a few days ago. I was not sure how to tell you. I have been scared. At first, I was just in shock." Pregnant, it was not something we had talked about, at least not seriously. But as the words sank in, I felt a wave of emotion wash over me: surprise, sure, but also a strange mix of happiness and anxiety. I stood up, walked over to her, and pulled her into a hug. "That is... wow," I said, still trying to process. "That is amazing." She clung to me tightly, and for a moment, everything felt right. This was huge, life-changing even. But it also felt like it could be the start of something good, something that could bring us closer together. The rest of the night was spent talking about what this meant for us. We sat on the couch, hands intertwined, discussing everything from baby names to how we would handle the practical stuff: money, space, telling our families. Sarah seemed genuinely happy, and I started to believe that maybe this was exactly what we needed to move forward. But as the initial shock and excitement began to settle, a nagging thought started creeping into my mind, something I could not shake no matter how hard I tried. The next morning, we went out for a walk. It was one of those crisp, cool mornings that made everything feel a little more alive. We talked more about the baby, what the future might look like. But that nagging thought was still there, lurking in the back of my mind. After we got back to my place, I noticed something odd. Sarah's phone, which was usually buzzing every few minutes with texts from Jake, was eerily silent: no calls, no messages. I did not say anything at first, but it was strange. Jake had been such a constant presence, always texting, always needing something. Now, nothing. As the day went on, I could not help but notice how much calmer Sarah seemed: no distractions, no checking her phone nervously. It was almost too quiet. I tried to push it out of my mind, to just focus on us and the baby, but the doubts would not let go. That evening, while we were sitting on the couch, I finally asked her about it. "Hey, I have noticed Jake has not been around much lately. Is everything okay with him?" Sarah hesitated for a moment before responding. "Yeah, he is just giving us space," she said, her tone a little too casual. "He knows we are working through stuff, so he is backing off for now. It sounded reasonable enough, but something about it felt off. Jake was not the type to just step back, not after how involved he had been in our lives. And then the thought hit me like a punch to the gut: what if Jake knows something I do not? What if that is why he has gone quiet? I did not bring it up right away, but the doubt kept growing. I replayed everything in my mind: the sudden apology, the pregnancy announcement, Jake's absence. Was there more to this story? Was it possible that Jake had been more than just a best friend, and now, knowing about the baby, had he decided to step back because he thought it might be his? Sunday morning, I woke up early, unable to shake the thoughts. I lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. Sarah was still asleep beside me, looking peaceful, unaware of the storm brewing in my head. As I got up and made coffee, I kept going over the timeline in my mind. If Sarah had just found out she was pregnant, that meant the baby was conceived at least a couple of months ago, around the same time when things between us had been at their most strained and she was spending a lot of time with Jake. The pieces started to fit together, and not in a good way. I could not bring myself to ask her outright, not yet. But the doubts were there, gnawing at me. Was this baby really mine, or was it possible that Jake was the father? And that is why he had suddenly disappeared from her life. Throughout the day, I tried to act normal, but my mind was racing. I watched Sarah closely, looking for any signs that she might be hiding something. But she seemed genuinely happy, excited about the baby, and completely focused on us. It was confusing, to say the least. By Sunday night, I was emotionally drained. I knew I needed answers, but I was not sure how to get them without causing another fight. I did not want to ruin what had been a good weekend, but I also could not keep these doubts bottled up inside. As Sarah was getting ready to leave, she noticed I was quieter than usual. "You okay?" she asked, concern in her eyes. "Yeah," I lied. "Just tired, I guess." She gave me a long hug before heading out, and as I watched her walk away, I felt a mix of emotions: love, fear, doubt. I wanted to believe that everything was going to be okay, that we could move forward and be happy together. But those nagging doubts about Jake and the baby would not let me rest. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling again, knowing that sooner or later, I would have to confront this head on. The question was not just about the baby or Jake, it was about trust. And right now, I was not sure where we stood. After Sarah left on Sunday night, I could not shake the feeling that something was seriously off. The whole weekend, I had been trying to convince myself that we were making progress, that things were finally looking up. But the doubts were still there, gnawing away at me, especially about the baby. I could not sleep. My mind kept going back to how quiet things had gotten with Jake. The guy who could not go a day without texting or calling her was suddenly silent. It did not add up. Something about it felt wrong, like there was more to the story than Sarah was letting on. That night, while I was sitting on the couch, her phone buzzed. She had forgotten it on the coffee table. Normally, I would not have even thought about looking at it, but my curiosity got the best of me. I hesitated for a second, then picked it up. I did not go in looking for trouble, but I could not help myself. I opened her messages, scrolling down to her chats with Jake. And what I saw stopped me cold. Jake had blocked her. There was no profile picture, no recent messages, nothing. Just the notification that said he had blocked her. Why would Jake block Sarah, especially now? Confused and feeling sick to my stomach, I scrolled further back in their chat history. That is when I found the conversation that changed everything. It was a series of messages from a couple of weeks ago, just before Sarah told me she was pregnant. "Sarah, Jake, I am pregnant." "Jake, what? Are you sure?" "Sarah, yes, I am sure. I took a test." "Jake, it could be his, right?" "Sarah, I do not know, Jake. I am scared." "Jake, if it is mine, I cannot do this. I am not ready to be a dad. You should think about getting an abortion." The messages kept going, but it was clear where Jake stood. He did not want any part of it. And then, after that last message, he blocked her. Just like that. I sat there staring at the screen, my heart pounding in my chest. She told him before she told me. And the fact that she was not even sure who the father was, it hit me like a ton of bricks. All the doubts, the uneasy feelings I had been trying to push aside, they all came rushing to the surface. She had been cheating on me. There was no other way to explain it. Everything made sense now: the sudden apology, her emotional breakdown, Jake's sudden disappearance from her life. She was hoping I would never find out, hoping she could sweep it under the rug. I waited until the next morning to confront her. She came over, smiling like everything was fine. But I could not keep it inside anymore. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cold. She looked at me, confused. "What is wrong?" I held up her phone. "I went through your messages with Jake." Her face went pale. "You what?" I know, Sarah, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I know you told him about the baby before you told me. I know he told you to get an abortion because he did not want to be a dad. And I know you did not tell me the truth. She started to cry. I did not know how to tell you, she whispered. I was scared. I felt my hands clench into fists, not out of anger, but out of pure frustration. You did not know how to tell me? You did not know who the father was, Sarah. You were sleeping with both of us, and you did not think I deserved to know the truth? She looked down, unable to meet my eyes. I did not plan for this to happen, she said softly. It just got out of control. I shook my head. And you thought keeping me in the dark was the best way to handle it? She wiped her tears away, trying to compose herself. I was going to tell you eventually. I just needed time. Well, guess what? Time is up, I said, my voice hard. We are going to figure this out right now. I want a paternity test. She nodded, still crying. Okay, we got the test done a few days later, and the results came back quickly. I was not the father. I knew it deep down, but seeing it in black and white was like a knife to the heart. When I showed her the results, she broke down again. I am so sorry, she sobbed. I did not know. I did not know what to do. I could not even look at her. What about Jake? I asked. Have you told him? She shook her head. He refused to take a test. He does not want anything to do with it. That was it for me. I had been through enough. Sarah, I am done, I said firmly. I cannot do this anymore. You lied to me, cheated on me, and now you expect me to stick around and help clean up the mess? I am sorry, but I cannot. She tried to grab my hand, but I pulled away. Please, she begged. We can fix this. No, Sarah, I said, my voice cold. There is no fixing this. I cannot trust you anymore. I cannot be with someone who lied to me like this. Do not contact me again. And with that, I walked away, leaving her standing there sobbing. It hurt like hell.